GVTV News.
Thanks, Jan, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, Panetta visits Afghanistan following massacre, and Santorum wins 2 southern primaries. In Japan, earthquake triggers tsunami warnings, and IAEA warns of safety risks from aging nuclear plants. And 4 banks fail Fed's stress test for economic crisis, and banks to pay New York $25 million for mortgage abuses. In Guatemala, out of there, soldier deported from U.S. convicted for 1982 Dos Eras massacre. And Congolese rebel leader convicted in first Hague trial. And Cheney cancels Canada's speech over protest fears. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed on our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta has arrived in Afghanistan for the first visit by a senior Obama administration official since the U.S. soldier massacred 16 Afghan villagers. Panetta comes to Afghanistan amid ongoing protests and violent attacks throughout the country. At least 9 people were killed in separate bombings earlier yesterday. On Tuesday, at least 1 Afghan soldier was killed after militants fired on an Afghan government delegation investigating the massacre. At the White House, President Obama vowed justice for the victims of the slaughter. And President Obama said, "I have directed the Pentagon to make sure that we spare no effort in conducting a full investigation. I can assure the American people and the Afghan people that we will follow the facts wherever they lead us, and we will make sure that anybody who was involved is held fully accountable with full force of the law." And former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum continues to cement his status as a Republican field's leading conservative with 2 primary wins in the Deep South. On Tuesday, Santorum edged out Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney to win primaries in Alabama and Mississippi. Rick Santorum said, "We will compete everywhere. We will compete everywhere." And that time is for conservatives to pull together. The time is now to make sure that we have the best chance to win this election, and the best chance to win this election is to nominate a conservative to go up against Barack Obama, who can take him on every issue. Gingrich is vowing to stay in the race despite losing 2 southern states that had been seen as crucial in his campaign. Romney, meanwhile, finished 3rd in both Alabama and Mississippi, but picked up wins in Hawaii and the territory of American Samoa. And a strong earthquake in northern Japan triggered tsunami advisories in a region heavily damaged by last year's earthquake and tsunami. Minor sea changes were reported following a 6.8 magnitude quake, and several towns issued evacuation orders, but all warnings were later lifted. No damages or injuries were reported. Last year's 9.0 magnitude earthquake and tsunami killed some 20,000 people and sparked a major nuclear disaster in the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The earthquake in Japan comes as the International Atomic Energy Agency warns that 80% of the world's nuclear power plants are more than 20 years old, raising safety concerns. It's an annual nuclear safety review. The IAEA said the aging plants could pose safety risks. 5% of nuclear sites over 40 years old and 32% are 32 years or older. At a nuclear conference in Maryland, the chair of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Gregory Jaczko, called for urgent safety reforms in U.S. facilities, and he said we will ultimately have to address the issue of how we deal with nuclear events that lead to significant land contamination and displacement, perhaps permanently, of people in their homes and their livelihood in their communities. There are difficult questions that do not have easy answers, but they are ultimate issues that we have to address now. These issues are fresh in our mind, and nuclear accident that happens like Fukushima in this country will be unacceptable. And 4 large U.S. banks, including Citigroup, have failed a Federal Reserve stress test meant to gauge their odds of surviving a new economic crisis. Ally Financial, SunTrust, and MetLife also failed the test, with 15 companies that passed. Overall, the Fed says all 19 banks in a stronger shape than they were after the 2008 financial crash. 5 major banks have agreed to pay the state of New York a combined $25 million over claims of deceptive and illegal practices in their use of electronic mortgage database. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup will pay $5.9 million each, while Ally Financial will pay $1.25 million. New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman had sued 3 of the banks last month over their use of the database, accusing them of improperly foreclosing on homes. The state said it will continue to pursue claims for damages suffered by the state's homeowners and will use the money to address foreclosures and other housing issues. The deal follows the $25 billion settlement reached last month between banks in 49 states over faulty foreclosures and mortgage practices to help sink the nation's economy. So they skated away into the sunset. A former Guatemalan soldier has been convicted of the 1982 massacre of more than 200 villagers in the U.S.-backed death squad. Pedro Pimentel is the 5th soldier to be found guilty in a Dos Eras massacre. He was tried after being deported from the United States last year. And Congolese rebel leader Thomas Lubanga has been convicted of war crimes in the first case tried by the International Criminal Court in Hague. Earlier yesterday, the ICC found Lubanga guilty of recruiting and using child soldiers during the Democratic Republic of Congo's 1998 to 2003 war. Lubanga is the first suspected to be convicted at The Hague since the court was established a decade ago. And former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has canceled an upcoming speech in Canada out of fear of protests. Cheney's latest Canadian appearance in Vancouver was marred with rallies and attempts to see him tried on war crime charges. Spokesperson for the company that booked Cheney to speak says Cheney felt that in Canada the risk of violent protest was simply too high. And that's it for World News today. Now we'd like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. Jonah's an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Monday, 8:55 a.m. A caller from Memorial Park reported graffiti on 2 tables. 8:55 a.m. a caller from Condon Park reported graffiti near the bathrooms. At 8:56 a.m. a caller from 200 block of East Main Street reported Transit sleeping on the deck and refusing to leave. He was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. 9:40 a.m. a man from 400 block of Dalton Street reported theft of a mountain bike 5 months ago and a theft of a leaf blower 1 month ago. 9:53 a.m. a caller from Highland Courts reported hearing a gunshot and a person fleeing. 12:05 p.m. caller from Nevada City Highway reported 2 men in a vehicle drinking alcohol. 1 was arrested on suspicion of having an open container. 2:58 p.m. caller from Gold Hill Drive reported a large group involved in a physical fight who scattered when officers arrived. And 4:21 p.m. caller from 100 block of Glasson Way reported tagging on a wall. 4:24 p.m., caller from 100 block of McKnight Way reported a woman took items from a bin and threw them at an employee before fleeing. She was cited on suspicion of shoplifting. At 8:29 p.m., a person on Freeman Lane was cited on suspicion of burglary. In Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Monday, 8:06 a.m., a caller from 15,000 block of Little Valley Road reported a man threw a brick at his truck, then jumped on the running board and was hitting his window with a stick. The suspect said the truck driver purposely ran him off the road. The man was arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon and vandalism. 9:04 a.m., a caller from 14,000 block of Greenhorn Road reported fraud. At 9:08 a.m., a caller from 14,000 block of Lava Lane reported identity theft. At 10:32 a.m., a caller from 17,000 block of Pioneer Way reported a possible criminal threat. At 11:39 a.m., a caller from 17,000 block of Penn Valley Drive reported there had been a man sleeping in the lobby under a table. At 12:22 p.m., a man from 13,000 block of Burma Road reported strange odor from a neighbor's apartment was making him ill. At 1:54 p.m., caller from 11,000 block of Yuba Crest Drive reported a welfare check on a goat. At 3:23 p.m., I wonder how much that check was worth. 3:23 p.m., a caller from Purden Road reported a trespassing issue with a neighbor cursing and spitting. And 3:47 p.m., a caller from Cary Drive and Ridge Road reported juveniles smoking marijuana and littering. Juveniles were released to 2 adults. 3:56 p.m., a man from 15,000 block of Chattering Pines Road reported a residential burglary. And 4:34 p.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Torrey Pines Drive reported finding possible stolen items in her yard, including a camera, a radio, an iPod, and a Raiders cap. 5:15 p.m., a man from Dog Bar Road reported people who looked like hippies in his house. And 5:53 p.m., a caller from Hanley Drive reported juveniles tried to burn a man with a lighter. The situation was mediated. And 6:30 p.m., a caller from 20,000 block of Cruising Grade Road reported someone smashed the back window of a vehicle. And 9:50 p.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Wax Wing Court reported a propane leak. And 10:18 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Willow Valley Road reported a stove fire. Nevada City Police Department on Monday, 11:04 a.m., a caller reported suspicious activity. 5:41 p.m., a caller from Sacramento Street reported a man and a woman in a physical fight. And 11:58 p.m., a caller from Coyote Street and Highway 49 reported a man with a baseball bat hitting trees and threatening people. He was arrested on unknown charges. And that's it for the Police Blotter today. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Like desserts? They got 'em. You like international style lunches? They got 'em. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. In local news headlines, animal cruelty trial gets underway. And Highway Patrol arrests 2 in solo accidents. And Jennifer Ray announces candidacy for Nevada City Council. And federal agency draws ire from Nevada County supervisors. In today's first local story, written by Liz Keller of the Union, if a picture paints 1,000 words, the photo displays to jurors during the opening phase of the animal cruelty case against Louis Silva Jr. might speak volumes. A llama lying dead or dying in the mud, a bale of hay that was black with mold, a plastic container next to a chained-up dog filled with feces, a bathtub half filled with algae-choked water. Nevada County Deputy District Attorney Oliver Pong told the jurors that animal control officers would testify at length about the conditions of the animals found at Silva's Patino Road property. Big Oak Valley man faces 3 felony counts and 2 misdemeanor counts. He showed no concern, Pong said, no apparent concern for what the animals were going through. But Silva's defense attorney, Stephen Munkelt, told the jurors he would not need to put the testimony in context. Sometimes people see what they want to see, he said. They see what they're looking for. Nevada County Animal Control had removed more than a dozen animals from his Patino Road property west of Penn Valley in March 2011 after being called out for a dead llama. Animal Control officers testified they found a number of animals in poor condition with no food or water. One llama was euthanized the following day. Munkel told the jury that Silva's daughter and son both showed goats with 4-H and that he was a goat leader for the Penn Valley 4-H Club. Silva had bought in hay, grain, and feed for the animals that winter, Munkel said, adding that Silva had taken his dog to be euthanized the day Animal Control showed up with reports of a downed llama. Animal Control Officer Dan Whitaker told jurors he had been called out initially on March 15th in the morning and found one dead llama in the pasture, one llama lying in the mud outside the barn, and a number of animals in the barn. Other officers brought food to the animals in the afternoon. The second llama later was euthanized. Officer Shirley Falls testified the animals were standing in 6 inches of feces and urine, and it took 2 officers to push open the gate to a pen that held 2 goats. Munkel, however, suggested the presence of so much waste showed the animals were being fed and watered. He also told the jury that the llamas in the question had been taken in after their previous owner had been unable to care for them. Silva's trial will continue. Well, this was continuing yesterday with testimony from the veterinarian. In another Liz Keller story, a Nevada City man was arrested by California Highway Patrol officers after he allegedly failed to stop but ran into a ditch after a short pursuit. Officer attempted to make traffic stop on David Ashley Burge for a registration violation at about 2:15 p.m. Monday, Tallerfoot Road, said CHP officer Mark Morrison. Burge allegedly took off and tried to make a turn on Grizzly Hill Road, losing control and running into a ditch. He estimated the pursuit lasted about 60 seconds. Burge was arrested without further incident, but a search of his vehicle allegedly turned up a small amount of methamphetamine. Burge, 45, was booked in county jail on suspicion of possessing a controlled substance, false registration, and evading a peace officer. He was released on a $12,340 bail. A Chicago Park woman was arrested Monday night after crashing her vehicle into a tree near Empire Mine State Park. Kendra Athena Cummins, 21, ran off the road on Empire Street at about 8 p.m. She sustained a small laceration and was complaining of head pain and was transported to Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital. She was treated and then released on suspicion of driving under the influence. She was booked into county jail and released on a $1,404 bail. Jennifer Ray, a Nevada City native, has announced her intention to run for Nevada City Council in June election. She filed nomination papers at City Hall yesterday. I was raised in Nevada City and my family has been here since the 1880s, Ray said in a prepared statement. I attended Nevada City Elementary School and Nevada Union High School. After college and establishing a career, I returned to Nevada City about 7 years ago because Nevada City is where we wanted to raise our daughter. These roots have formed my deep commitments in our community. I want to make sure that Nevada City is the same wonderful place when our daughter is grown. Ray is married and has one daughter who attends Deer Creek School. She has a doctorate in psychology and practices locally and in Sacramento. Ray had been active in neighborhood issues, including Friends of Nevada City Elementary. Nevada City is a special place to live and visit. People are attracted to Nevada City because it is a healthy balance of neighborhoods, history, culture, and art, nonprofit organizations, and businesses that make it such a dynamic yet timeless gold country town. This is something that other communities envy and that we should protect, she said. We wish her well. In a story by Matthew Renda of the Union, Nevada County Board of Supervisors criticized the federal agency for expenditure of $30 million for what it perceived as a frivolous project. During Tuesday's meeting, the board voted unanimously to approve a letter crafted by Supervisor Ted Owen to be sent to the United States Bureau of Reclamation, asking the agency to reconsider a flood control project. The Bureau has plans in place to fund and implement a project related to the Stampede Dam that calls for construction of an additional 11.5 feet to this structure. Ted Owens, in a letter to the Bureau, pointed out the project was to prepare for once 250,000-year flood event and questioned the wisdom of such over-preparation, particularly in a time of financial constraints in the public sector. One has to analyze whether this is true priority at this point, and I deem it not to be, Owen said during the meeting. Owen said he suspected the Bureau may be undertaking the project with an eye towards future municipal water storage If the project was undertaken with the express purpose of supplying water to Reno, for instance, the project would have to undergo a robust public process and scrutiny of public comment, he said. Owen's fellow board members concurred with the District 1 Supervisor Nate Beeson, saying the project is an example of why the nation's budget is out of control. And that's it for our local news today. Now we'd like to thank the Union, Amy Goodman, Reuters, Associated Press, and others for the sourcing of our news, and you for watching. You can watch this podcast, Comcast Cable, NCTV, Channel 11, Nevada County, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sorry about my tie there, but I'm never good at that. Monday through Friday, Sudden Link 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra. We also are streamed on the internet at NCTV's Digital Media Center, at website at nevadacountytv.org and gvtv.org. And don't forget, Grass Valley Television plays 24/7 on the net at grassvalleytelevision.com. We post to Facebook, YouTube, blip.tv, and many other podcast sites, and have RSS feed and video podcasts for iTunes. Just search under video podcast for GVTV News. Our content is controlled by the producer of this newscast, me, and Grass Valley Television is not necessarily the opinion of NCTV Digital Media Center. Grass Valley Television also videotapes local events, so if you want more information, grassvalleytelevision at gmail.com or 362-8889. This show is produced by Grass Valley Television and Royal County's Television Network, and we'll see you, should be Friday, and here's a little older rant of mine coming up. Teapot alert, this is not news but a commentary of great importance. It has no affiliation of the news. This is the commentator's opinion only. Yes, it's time to do a little rant about what's going on in the world. Why are we all just sitting around while our fearless leaders are guessing about what to do for our future? Here's a list of questions for President Obama. Why do we bail out automakers who won't make an electric car? Why do we say no to legalizing a harmless plant and taxing it to help the revenue of the country? Why do we ingest billions into banks that have raised the bar so high on loans nobody qualifies, and then they keep the monies starving small businesses? Where is Main Street bailout, and why don't everyday citizens get monetary boosts? Why are we complaining our grandchildren will inherit a huge debt? They aren't going to pay it any more than we do. And what's wrong with the universal world money system who cares whose pictures on the piece of paper? And if government creates these new government expansion jobs to bring down unemployment, how will we ever be able to get rid of these temporary government jobs in the future? Why do we keep allowing all the crooked politicians and lobbyists to control our country? And why do we keep using fossil fuels as a leader of the world when we know that we can quit using them for cleaner energy like what the Venus Project shows us? Why, President Obama, do you not put monies into a system through the populace so that we can spend it back into the businesses to help the economy stabilize? Why are we not on a fair tax that stops all this illegal taxation by the IRS on us now? Anybody with money knows how to avoid most of the taxes through loopholes, so give us a tax that everyone would pay. These questions do not really broach the actual issues of our society that has brought us to this point. Mostly it's just capitalism with a lot of greed, and all of us allowed the greed to unbalance the entire program. Listen to this rant, you might think that it's a conservative right-winger type spout off, but no, it's not. Right or left, they both corrupt the middle, and until we wean off the monetary system into a resource system, we will not fix anything. And in fact, if we continue on the road we are on, soon a nuclear holocaust will happen. You can't think that Korea, China, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, India, Pakistan, Israel, and Russia are not all in a situation that sooner or later somebody will get in control that has no control, and the dominoes will begin to fall. You can't also believe that the USA is safe from inside its borders, bombings and suicides or whatever else. There's many other areas of the world every day that those won't happen. We better wake up and secure our borders and start to try to be fiscal responsible, at least in our own country. We need to boot out the ways our congressmen and senators conduct business. Lobbyists should be outlawed, and perks for government officials also be illegal. Maybe we are so corrupt we can't fix it. Maybe we are the great Satan that the East says we are. Or maybe we are only the only light in this point in the universe that can lead to the rest of the world back in reality, and if we don't change our ways, we are doomed. All right, life form. Here are some more questions. Why do banks charge $25 to $35 to bounce a check when it really does, all it really does is put a negative number into a computer? Right? Why is our money not still backed by the same amount of gold to equal the amount of money like it used to be? Why does our government pay a private company to borrow money from when the government could print its own money? In fact, it's an easier question. Why does the Federal Reserve even exist? Why does the Internal Revenue exist? If we pay part of our income to the IRS, then why are we not considered government employees? Don't we work for them? If we are the government, then we are stealing from ourselves. If we are the government, why do we send the lowest IQ people to work there? If we are the government, why won't they listen to anything we say? Why don't we draft all the Wall Street people and the senators and congressmen into the armed services? Isn't it about to be their turn in the barrel?